You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
Bring on the truth, folks. And I tell you, bust out of your bunker. What is the safe space, right, that you're hiding in mentally? I know. We need a bunker. We need a safe space, right? That's what prepping is for us. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, a safe space. There's no teddy bears, and there's no denying reality exists. But it's quite a bit of a different concept, wouldn't you say? Oh, I tell you, we're getting, folks, though, a tactical reset to blast us out of the reality we want. What reality am I talking about? You know, the safe space idea that the world plays by a certain set of rules. We've all been lied to about the world, folks, and what is here. Who the players are, how powerful they are. Everyone in power is just busy lying to us, and probably lying to themselves as well. But I've got a couple of things I want to chit chat with you about here as we blast out of the bunker at 0:30. The people in Washington actually think, the politicians, the bureaucrats, that they can safely get away with everything, right? And they have tactics that they use, and they've used successfully, and they continue to use successfully against us. And I want to start with the story about Elon Musk saying he wants peace. He wants peace. He said, hey, peace between Russia and Ukraine. What is wrong with wanting that? Right? So he was attacked. Tactical strike. They send in light in the loafers, skinny jeans wearing Lindsay Lohan Graham, senator, Republican, to attack him, to go after Musk. And after citing several, what I would call historical inaccuracies, or maybe you could say, well, he was putting his spin on everything, which we expect. It's one of their tactics. It's part of their tactical strategy, is to tell 9 lies and put one truth in the middle of it to confuse people. And then a tactical strike was levied, pointed right at Elon Musk for daring to ask for peace. He said, perhaps we're going to remove your tax shelter, right? We should remove the electric vehicle tax break. That was a big shot. This guy is a multi-billionaire, Elon Musk. Right? He uses his pocket change to screw with companies like Twitter that are so powerful they can silence the president of the United States, Trump. And he's just going to buy him if he wants. But he's still toying with him and going back and forth. And I'm enjoying all of the snowflake tears that are coming from that. Now, back to Musk. He responds, though, folks. And this is an important lesson for me and for you and for all of us. Musk responded, well, that tax break hasn't applied to me, and it was Ford and General Motors that asked for it. Not me, not Tesla. In other words, he couldn't give a shit what Lindsay Lohan says. The little war chicken himself. The little man who would send you, your kids, your grandkids to war to die for his scheme, his tactical scheme for power, control, and wealth. It's incredible, folks. Yeah, and Elon Musk said, you know what, I'm not buying your shit. I'm not playing into it. I'm not going to kowtow to you. He's got his own tactic. It's called being free. And I want to remind everyone that the richest man in America at the time of the American Revolution was not a sellout. No, sirree, Bob. In fact, he was one of the most loud, especially when it came to saying, fuck you, to King George. That would be John Hancock. signed his name so big that the King of England wouldn't need his spectacles on his bepudgied face to read his name and know who was saying the things that were said. Elon Musk, well, I don't know if he's a John Hancock, but he's certainly one of the most wealthy men in America, if not the most wealthy. And he seems to be leaning more and more towards freedom all the time. Now, let us continue, if we shall, folks. Tactical reset. Right? These people in Washington, D.C., they're trying to push this great reset all over us. It's their primary tactic, right? To come at us from every single angle. But ultimately, folks, what is the most motivating factor of all? And again, Lindsay Lohan tried using it on Musk. It's called fear. Fear. Literally, the single most effective and greatest motivating factor in all humans' lives. Fear of these people destroying us is what causes us to be preppers, because history shows that, yeah, they'll try and destroy us. So we're fearful of that, and so we take precautionary measures. So they tried going after Musk. He's got all that money. Let's threaten to take it away a little piece at a time. Trying to use fear on him. He said, no, ain't doing it. Right? I didn't ask for your stupid tax thing. I don't use your stupid taxes, tax breaks, and F you. It must be nice to have F you money. So what fear is the Great Reset progenitors using now? Well, another big, fat fear factor in the tactical reset is nuclear war. And President Biden-Amonte, right? Jackass Joe, as I've been calling him lately, he's now using the threat of nuclear war. And he's using it in a more pronounced and pointed way. And he said at a Democratic fundraiser, which is interesting, they would need him to, raise funds. He said, we haven't been this close to nuclear war since the Bay of Pigs, the Cuban Missile Crisis. We remind you, folks, the Bay of Pigs was a failed invasion attempt by the CIA to send guerrilla fighters who were being trained by CIA into Cuba to overthrow Fidel Castro and try and create a popular uprising that could change the course of the nation. Sounds a lot like Ukraine, right? Only they did get Zelensky in and create a puppet regime, but now, right, much the same way Cuba's right next to the U.S. and the U.S. objected to what was going on, Russia has Ukraine right next to it, and, they had their popular uprising, which wasn't that popular in 2014. Their coup occurred, and Russia has objected ever since, but finally had had enough of it, right, because of the atrocities that were occurring and the threat of nuclear weapons being brought into Ukraine. The same way in Cuba and the Cuba-America-Russia crisis, the Cuban Missile Crisis, America said, you aren't bringing nuclear war that close to home, nuclear weapons that close to home. It ain't happening. And we almost had nuclear war back in the 1960s, early 1960s. Well, guess what? The United States, European Union, NATO, and the Great Reset Masters at Davos, they're threatening nuclear war again. They kind of threatened and antagonized Russia by saying they wanted to make Ukraine NATO, which means make Ukraine a nuclear state, nuclear power state. Not nuclear electricity, not that kind of power, nuclear weapon power. And here we are again, folks. They're calling for the same thing. They're now saying, hey, well, we don't have missiles in there, but there's going to be nuclear war. We haven't been this close. And they keep pushing and pushing and poking the Russian bear. They're poking Russia. Now, Putin has come out and said, hey, I will use nuclear weapons if you continue to threaten us or try and take, right, Russian soil. And of course, Lindsay Lohan and all the other war chickens are screaming and yelling, well, you took part of Ukraine. And he has the position to say, no, they had a vote. The United Nations watched the vote, monitored the vote. The vote was overwhelming in favor of self-determination under international law and to leave Ukraine because of the atrocities and join the Russian Federation in an effort for self-preservation. So the U.S. does not like that, neither do all of the Great Reset allies, and they're now threatening back. They're now threatening back. We're closer than ever to nuclear war. The story came out that the U.S. government has, a couple $100 million in radiation medicine, essentially potassium iodide, that they're storing up in case of nuclear war. Well, I'll tell you what, folks. So you think the U.S. government's going to come and rescue you if we get into a nuclear war? Do you think they're going to give a shit about us, the people? They're going to make sure we all get the proper dosages and stuff and medications? No. And I don't think we would have an all-out nuclear war, but it's another piece on the board that they're playing. Trying to scare people, trying to use fear, because that's what they're all about, fear. And I'll tell you what, folks, I'm just not buying it anymore. I just don't have the stomach for their stupidity. Like Elon Musk, you can't scare me with that shit. I mean, you can scare me, it's probably not going to change my decisions, right? My choice is to be American. My choice is to be free. My choice is to resist this great reset. We all have a choice. You don't have to submit, folks. What's your choice? Are you going to allow the tactical reset to scare the hell out of you? Are you going to allow the government to threaten you? A lot of people, they just can't stand up to that. Right? The guy with the most to lose, Elon Musk, also has the most to gain by resisting this tactical reset and all their threats. Folks, the guy with the most to lose is you. In my world, the guy with the most to lose is me. I also have the most to gain, just like you do. So make your choice. Chance favors the prepared mind is yours. God bless America. Semper Fi.